Okay, so yeah, hello everyone. This is an unusual office hours that we're running. We managed to be together in a room now. Like if you're looking, if anyone joins the stream, then there's going. Well, you're not going to hear it because I'm not recording anyway. The recording will be posted on Ubuntu on Air later from like our friends over there with audio and video equipment. Um, let's just do some introductions. Mark, start us off.
Hey everybody, I'm Matt. I'm part of the Mir team and I'm working on Miracle.
Hi, I'm Neil. I am not part of the Mir team, but I do stuff, and I help Matt make Fedora Miracle.
And I'm Harlan. I'm part of the Mir team. I've been working mostly with the implementation of multi-Windows support for Flutter on Windows.
I'm Alfred. I've been involved with the Ubuntu Touch community and UBPorts community and doing some Lemiri stuff every now and then.
Hi, I'm Alan. I'm part of the Mir team. And as a side thing, I work on Nuriway.
Hi, I'm Tarek. I am the news member, that's all.
But then I'm Savik. I'm trying to help things going in the Mir team. And just remove all of the obstacles. That's kind of how I describe my job, so that the guys can do the good stuff. Yeah, we're here together in The Hague for the Ubuntu Summit. There's things happening that you can look at. We will be posting this. There's workshops that there will be videos from. But yeah, this we wanted to just have and talk about what's happening in the Mir world. So I just have I have an agenda that we kind of try to keep here. So actions from previous meetings, we didn't have any. So that's like the first item of the agenda gone. And then hello from the Ubuntu Summit. I kind of hinted to that, but what I think we could talk about is, anybody who wants to say anything that they saw at the summit already. It's only been like not halfway through yet. But anything that was really interesting that's to highlight from our time here already.
I think the most interesting thing for me, like this is the first time I've ever been to an Ubuntu Summit, so it's very exciting, is just all the people and going to see all the things and seeing all the ways that all this stuff is being used. It's exciting and energizing for me to see how open source and the community and how that spreads beyond what you could ever imagine. And also just hanging out at all the booths and meeting all the people that like I've kind of known peripherally or interacted with in emails or IRC or Matrix or whatever. Now I have faces to go with names.
Same here.
Yeah.
That's really well done. I felt that, yes.
Yeah.
And of course, there's the people that were at the last summit that I met then and hadn't seen again until now, which is good to catch up and see what's been going on.
Yep. Highlights.
A highlight, yeah. So a highlight of this morning was seeing the Cosmic Desktop and how that's very open to integration with other components and seeing it partially working on Mir.
Yeah, yes, it was very interesting to see that. My first thought was like when Victoria was talking about having it composable and integratable and like as a platform of tools was, well, can we put it together with other things and see what happens? And then she puts it in her demo and shows off on Fedora switching between Neri and then Miracle and showing off that with Miracle that the components mostly work was awesome. It also validates that the Mir compositor framework really works quite well, even with the compositor that doesn't implement a lot of stuff like Miracle. True. So that was super exciting, and I caught up with them afterwards and like fanboyed all over it. It was great.
That'd be a good gold star or guiding star for us too, to actually make sure all those components can integrate with us. See what protocols we are missing, what portals maybe we're missing, whatever they're using. That'd be very cool.
Yeah. And she has a goal so they have some Cosmic protocols, and I talked to her about them. They're mostly stuff that's already proposed to WP, Wayland protocols.
Right.
That because the process has been taking a while to get them to land, they have taken those and put the Z Cosmic prefix so that she can implement them, try them out, and execute. And it's actually, I think it's a really good approach to be able to just, if you've got a proposal in flight and there's like questions about the viability of it, just actually do it and see how it works and looks. And that can actually really inform how you do development and decisions. And also, like it at the end, it makes it so that you can see that it really does make sense to do.
Yeah, but implementation experience is always good feedback for a proposed design.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, one of the interesting protocols she has in the works is a workspaces protocol.
Right.
So right now, if you have like a sway-based compositor, you need to do your own IPC stuff to switch workspaces from another component. But she's looking to integrate that actually upstream.
And KDE Plasma also has a similar problem. So I work a lot in KDE, and like they have a private bridge to be able to manage all this stuff. And the private bridge is frankly not very flexible.
Right.
And there's a lot of requests from the community at large that we want to be able to do things that Cosmic has done. Like I was super excited to see this idea of, you can have workspaces that are composited across multiple physical displays, or they can be decoupled, and you can have sets of workspaces on each display and it not be a total trash fire like it is when you do it on X11 systems. And this is something that people in the KDE community and every other community that I've ever been part of, this has been an ask forever. And so the fact that she's got a working implementation, a protocol design, and a proof that it actually works, that's genuinely exciting for me. It's a way to like really improve the computing experience for people for the various needs that they have. And seeing the ability to have tiling in one set of workspaces and floating on another, that just made me so happy.
I think one thing that's is emerging for me on the whole, all what we're kind of just touched on are all shell-facing protocols, right? Yes, it's shell components, right? So being able to build your unique experience from bits from other places, right? And that's something that kind of seems to be like for a long time, these were all private protocols for every desktop that had this particular need. And as you say, like some of the desktops would have gone for portals and for other dbus IPC and for whatever. And this is, and also it's I think from the whole Wayland protocols point of view, like those protocols are much lower risk, right? Because you're not talking about a client as in an application that's meant to be supported for however long, and so that side protocols are, I think, the much lower risk and should be allowed to progress much quicker, because there's only so many things that will be using them, right?
I am still here. That is very annoying.
Nobody's joined you.
Yes, that's probably why.
That's because we're all here.
Yeah, we're all here. Every one of us.
So I feel like the fact that there isn't a clean separation in Wayland protocols between that is kind of also hindering things, because it's very easy to kind of mix them together and feel like, well, this is not something that we want in Wayland protocols, because this is something that's kind of risky for a client. But like shell components will always have, like if not that, then they will end up with like whatever custom IPC that they will need because they want it, right?
Yeah. I think one of the things that's kind of interesting about this, so I just recently landed a Wayland protocol myself upstream called the data controller, which is for clipboard managers. And so the interesting thing is that the text says this is for privileged clients, which is their code for shell components. There is actually nothing that enforces what a privileged client is or any of that other stuff. It's just phrasing you put in the description. And so you just kind of hope that everybody's going to do it. But like it kind of weirded me out that as part of doing this, that why isn't there an encoding, a bitstream encoding or a protocol encoding of declaring that this is something like this or something like that, and then the compositors can use that to create either an allow list or a concentrated list or an integration point, auto configuration, some other mechanism of handling this. And I think this kind of like, to me, it makes sense to have a mechanism like that. But the way that's been explained to me is that we're not supposed to have mechanism in protocols, but like, I don't understand how.
Well, it's easy to envisage a protocol that did have a mechanism.
Yes.
Simply that you have to hand out a token, and if you don't see the token back, then
Yeah.
and obviously that needs to be communicated by some sideband. But
Yeah.
that can be part of application startup or
I think that there have been a couple approaches to this, right? And actually opening a custom like privileged Wayland socket, right? So,
Yeah.
that's actually what we originally did in the client as well, right? We had a privileged client still, and you still do.
Yeah, that's one of the topics that we might get into later.
or maybe we should follow up with that when we have a
When we get there.
Right. UBPorts seeing again, I suppose, all the things that we did work on, now almost 10 years back. That's kind of, it brings some memories. It's great to see that it's still going, and then there's people still having fun with it, if nothing else, or sometimes having, some other feelings against it.
To have positive feelings towards it, actually. Yeah, I liked it for what it is. Definitely.
Cool. Right. Anything else about the summit? Otherwise, the next thing we had was Cosmic Miracle, and we kind of talked about it now. But what I think we should maybe say more about is like it would be like we should just, as the Mir team, get on it and try and get as many of the components of Cosmic working on Mir, and have a we have mechanisms to build a snap shell, right? So let's have a snap that has Cosmic in it. And we can have just as Mirway is like by default, right? We can get all of that in a snap and make sure that we try it out and get all of those components to work, so that we prove to all of ourselves that this can actually work and be a collaborative effort in the end. Right? Yep. Anything else on that topic, Cosmic Miracle, or other desktops, by the way, right? Like, so Cosmic is just one example, but so you guys have been, I don't know, maybe I shouldn't spill the beans.
All right. I have been doing a little bit of work with Alan on Mirrorway, and so there's it hasn't happened yet at the time of this recording. I don't know, when you see this, everything will have happened because this will be after the summit, but at the time of this recording, we still have one more day of Ubuntu Summit. But that next day, Alan and I are going to have a fun talk on stage about Mirrorway. And, you might see a surprising thing or two where we do fun Mirrorway things with desktops to have Mir actually be used to run a desktop that you wouldn't think would be Waylandy in a Wayland environment. It's actually, speaking more generally, Mirrorway's been interesting because it takes the almost opposite approach of Miracle. Whereas Miracle is building a compositor with its own integration layers and its own support mechanisms and its own communication systems, its own configuration model. Mm-hmm. Mirrorway can almost be described as a dumb overlay on top of the Mir toolkit. It does just enough scaffolding to connect up through Miracle and reuses as much from Mir itself to provide you essentially a basic floating window manager environment, and then you can do whatever you want with it. And using that as a way to slot in desktop environments or shell components terminology, as Savik had used, putting in shell stuff or putting in programs and whatever, and seeing it work, and actually not crash is pretty awesome, actually.
And this is the first time I can use this phrase in my life ever. Link in the description.
Yes, right. You'll get to see more in the description, in the show notes.
Thumbs up, subscribe.
Like and subscribe.
All right. Okay, so next we actually have, we said that Alfred, you were going to give us your take on where you are with UBPorts and what do you need from us?
Yeah, well, right now we're at the point where we're still using Mir 108 plus some custom patches on top for making sure that, for example, in the future, while we are still developing some integration with Waydroid, which allows Android applications to run on a phone, which uses Wayland, and to get this ball rolling with integrating, having every Android app be its own Windows surface, rather, to get this integrated properly. And we had to do some things in Mir 1.8, but the hope is that with 2.x we gain a few more Wayland features, and also we would have to get the Wayland support up on par with what we are used to from Mir client. Now that's right. That's arises a question where the UX and the implementation in Wayland sort of like there's an intersection there, and how are we going to approach this in the future? Because there is this like trusted clients that just overlay on top of like permission requesting applications, and how are we supposed to figure that out? Should we do a Wayland protocol that does similar things than it used to? Should we do something completely different? Should it look completely different? Should it be in the shell? Should it be, yeah, there's so many open questions. And I'm not pretty sure if asking everyone on the planet, or at least in the community, for input is going to help us here. We have to like get a rough overview about what are the options, both technical and also the design-wise, so that we could have trust prompts again with a Wayland-only system, which is the main holdback, and also screencast and external monitor through wireless display, which we also have. We picked up Ethercast and made it work with newer Android adaptations, and that requires us to have some way of getting the virtual displays Android buffers and passing them on to a video encoder that is running inside of the blob, like C container, and getting that to play together properly through various mechanisms that are in place right now with Near Client, but of course have been deprecated. So there needs to be some way for us to at least like plan and map out a path to the future.
So I think on the trust prompts, I think there's prior art, right? There's definitely things that we can look at. The thing I mentioned before about having a trusted socket that's like basically file permissions or app owner permissions will let you through, and that could get you extra capabilities for trust prompts themselves. For drawing them, like player shell is the obvious candidate, where we just take over the screen and you draw a translucent background plus your actual dial
Right.
so there's definitely some prior art on wireless displays. In Mir itself, last cycle or so, much implemented virtual displays, as in like you just tell Mir you have an extra display, right? And it doesn't care what it is. So that could be and then like hooking that up to like depending on what the exact underlying things are. It should be possible to hook that up to the encoder, because it's just going to be a surface on the GPU at that point, right? And I think that's, if I remember correctly, that's roughly what's happening on the Mir client side today. We don't right now have a way to dynamically create and remove those virtual displays. This is something that has to happen on startup, so that would obviously have to happen. But it is so. I think this is what comes as a question here is then how do we make it happen live? Because there's one of so many ways that we could do this, right? But maybe virtual displays is a protocol in its own, right? That controlling them, right? Just being able to add me a virtual display on this side.
So that's what output management does, right? Like which is currently not implemented, but output management lets you manipulate both real and virtual displays, and you can pair that with the image copy capture protocol,
Which we would not do because we have the other requirements for the encoder, for the Android side or Halium side video encoder. It would be faster if we just took the Grelloc, the graphics allocator from Android buffers, and just passed them on to the encoder.
So you can do that with that protocol because the revised version lets you pass buffers straight through.
DMA buffs,
Yeah.
but we don't use DMA buffs.
Well, you're going to have to.
Grelloc.
No, I mean, I'm saying you're going to have to on the Wayland side because everything's DMA buffs.
No, it's the problem with Android-based devices. That's where libhybris comes in. Libhybris uses the Android's graphics allocation abstraction. It might use DMA buff in the back, but you as the application developer don't have access to that. You don't have a way of manipulating it. It's basically one FD for DMA buff versus multiple FDs plus some integers that are passed around through IPC on Grelloc. So that's why we cannot use that. So that would require another protocol, which makes me think we should have some Android specific.
You need a boundary. You need a boundary service in the middle. because you have to go in and out from the Linux to the Android and back.
What do you mean by boundary services?
So if you're running stuff on top of a Linux system, and then you're running Android applications inside of it, and you need things to move in and out between the two, like virtual displays or screen copies or transmits or whatever, you're going to have a boundary service that goes backwards and back and forth between the two, because everything still has to exit and go into DMA buffs or Wayland protocols or whatever. But inside the Android environment, it has to be whatever Android expects.
We could do that. The problem is,
That's already the pathway Droid is moving towards. That's kind of like what they've been working on for the
problem
past
is,
several
though,
years.
the problem is though that supporting older Android generations like have Halium 7.1, that we still want to keep on supporting that for as long as possible. That requires us to go with Gralloc for the foreseeable future, which means another screen copy or screen buffer sharing, whatever protocol just for Android. We've already made peace with the fact that we have to do this, which is also what I have to do for WebKit to support our driver stack properly.
You are in for a bad time.
I know.
Yeah, that is like supporting hardware for a long time. That's always going to be that way.
On the output protocol, I think yes, the one thing missing in WP output or WLR output, whichever, today is actually being able to dynamically create and remove outputs. You can manage them provided that they exist, right? So we definitely need something extra to be able to dynamically load and unload them, right? And like Mir has quite a good abstraction on display. So the actual screencasting from the Android font over Ethercast, like that might be something that can happen even in the lower level. If we need that, right? So that there's different layers that we could take that on, but.
I was thinking because of the boundary service idea, how about it being a daemon that just translates whatever
That's what I.
Gralloc,
Yeah.
like
do that.
passing multiple FDs plus the integers in two arrays, passing them on, getting an FD for some FD.
A Linux DMA buff at the other end.
Yeah, but the problem is that with hardware vendors and manufacturers, they all have their own like. It might be DMA buff. It might not be. It might go through ION.
It shouldn't matter.
It shouldn't matter.
You just remember
Right.
what that DMA pseudo DSA.
Suited. Yes.
Well, that's the wrong set, and then you have to do all the translation when it comes back to you.
Yeah, the boundary. I would expect that the boundary service would do the translation and give you something sane on the other end.
Right. I would have to take a look at that, but could be done.
Yeah, because like
Possibly be done.
I don't see another realistic way for you that won't hurt yourself so far that you will hate your life.
Well,
if you don't do something like that, because the challenge becomes that if you start doing, Gralloc protocols and start exposing Gralloc stuff
Yeah.
into the main user space, now you have to do the translation for every interaction point.
Yeah, that's true.
So if you have a boundary service where you're switching everything over once you hit outside of the Android environment, then you get to reuse most of the other stuff fairly easily, as long as the state binding is managed by the boundary service.
That's true. Right. Yeah.
And I would say that for anything where you're going between Android and this, especially if you're in a hybrid environment, you should strive to limit as much of that leaking out by putting all of the Hybris and stuff into the boundary service. Everything else talks to the boundary service to get a standard thing. Because let me tell you, dude, like working with the Android HAL stuff is horrible.
It is. I know. I totally know.
So like not having all the other stuff not know that they're talking to Android things will also make it much easier to debug what's going wrong, because then you're limiting the coverage of weirdness to the one boundary service.
But if the abstraction here was EGL, it would already work.
Right.
But so
Yeah. But it's not.
it's not. Everything is file descriptor. Yes, let's pass them. Well, there we go.
I could get on and on about how much I hate the fact that it's not that.
All right. Anything else, Alfred, on UBPorts that you would like to raise?
I think that was about it. Can't come up with anything other than if anybody is out there who wants to contribute, surely get in touch with us, because we could need some help. Saying it officially out loud here. Just if you're interested, Telegram at UBPorts. Ask where to get to the development. Like and subscribe.
Link in the description in the show notes.
There we go. and get in touch with us, because if you're QML knowledgeable in QML, Qt, C++, things like that. If you want to see what Qt Mir does, for example, which is another piece of the puzzle, that is also very interesting. And yeah,
Are you on Qt 6 yet?
not yet, actually.
Okay.
Sadly, but we do have actually we have some potential with snaps, of course, bringing all those things that sort of like are before the time in the graveyard already, and we can have those. For example, the Lemire UI toolkit is a content snap now for Core 20 and Core 24, and we can keep that supported for as long as we need. So
Don't use snaps as an excuse to not do better. I'm just gonna say
we have plans, but
Yeah, okay.
it's hard to pull off because we're a very small team,
Right.
And we're basically focusing very hard on the 2404 on voice over LTE and some other integrations.
And then I know you guys struggle to bring everything up into the systemd thing from pulling out all the ups.
We're done with that already.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, took us some time though.
Yeah.
1604 to 2004 taught us a few things.
Welcome to the future.
Yeah.
So, what about hardware? What kind of hardware would you say is interesting to get UBPorts on these days?
Actually, if you want to take a very deep look into what we support, we have the devices.ubuntu-touch.io site, where we showcase a few devices. We have actually renewed it, new design there recently. And we have some devices like the Fearphone 4 and 5. Oh, nice. Yeah, those are pretty cool. And also supporting the external monitor use case. But we also have hardware vendors working together with us, helping us out, like Vola. And Vola are providing like pretty good quality devices out there that you can get with Ubuntu Touch pre-installed. You can still get it. You can go to a German Kaufland or something and buy one off the shelf there.
You know, one of the things that always kind of amazes me, even though I know because like we coded it, right? And but being able to connect the phone to an external screen and make it a full desktop, just like this, and have all of the apps behave behaving in a really good way. That's what me was born out of, right? So and it's still there under the covers, right? It's just we just don't have the front end for it yet, but I think that's another angle on the cosmic story or whatever else desktop story, right? There's nothing that prevents you from replicating that with another toolkit. Maybe maybe there's something else that you want to draw or some other paradigm that you want to implement, right? Mir is by design unopinionated on that side, right?
Yeah.
It's by design opinionated on the client side. It wants the applications to speak to us in a prescribed way, so that the other side can safely do those things, right? So it can safely take a window and do something appropriate with it because it has that context, right?
But you have to take a look at the larger Linux mobile space right now. Everyone is trying to do this right now with external monitor.
Which actually gives me a segue to our next topic. Harlan pointed out on what the Mir team it's fitting very not into the team, but a lot of our recent work was actually Flutter and on Windows, and because we want to enable the dev community there to be able to do those great apps in Flutter if they want to, and bring them to UBPorts. That if that's what happens.
Yeah.
So we've been. Harlan and Matt were working on a new API for multiple windows. Flutter has enabled a few months ago. Flutter has enabled multiple views, but those are like just being able to draw to multiple surfaces. And it was what we've added on top is the contextual information, the metadata about what this window actually is, and we'll be showing it off tomorrow as well. Tomorrow from now, not tomorrow from when you're watching it. But link in the description as well. And anything you want to guys say about this? Like what's right now?
How are you all Flutter about it?
We are all Flutter about it. No, I thought the work was really good. We just opened up depending on when you're watching this, the PRs may still be up on the Flutter /Flutter repo and the Flutter/engine repo, so you can go check them out.
on GitHub.
On GitHub. Sorry. Well,
Yeah.
Link in the description.
Foo/foo doesn't tell you anything.
Well, you know. But anyway, yeah. So yeah, there's a lot of work there. Couple thousands of lines, and we're iterating with them now. And I believe the design doc is also public there too. So if you want to see more details about why we're doing what we're doing, that's all out there. And God, be checking it out.
We started with Windows because that's where most of the Flutter community is, right? But the reason we're doing it is to actually have it all work on all of the platforms that Flutter supports, and it's not just the desktop, right? We're thinking of with the design of that whole API so that you can write the app once, and if it's an Android device that you're on and it happens to be in multi-window mode, then it will also work. But if it's a mobile Android device, then there's mechanisms built in so that it falls back into a more mobile kind of story. But we're really like one thing that makes Flutter great for this particular thing is that it has zero assumptions built in it so far about what a window is and what multiple windows are, etc. Right? So we kind of can get at it from we've been there, done that, learned a lot, and can actually do this.
And to reassure Neil, it's going to work on Linux.
I sure hope so. All this talk of Windows makes me very concerned.
Talk yourself off Flutter, not
No, it is talk of applications happen to be on Windows at the moment, but we will bring them to Linux.
Okay, good.
We're on the map. Windows is going to turn into that sibling that you're going to slap less in the future.
All right. And what do we have left? I think we have Fedora Miracle.
Right, Matt.
Oh, I was going to say Neil.
No.
Oh, okay. Well, Fedora Miracle is officially released for Fedora 41.
By the time you watch this, it'll be because recording will be published after Tuesday, October 29th, which is when Fedora 41 officially releases. The site will be updated and all that stuff. You still have a to-do to actually go send all the screenshots and give Aoife the description so that it'll be on the website.
I have things to do.
Yes. But by the time that you watch this, it will be released.
Yep.
And you could go download it, and you will see a full spin with stuff and things, a launcher, a dock, a panel, the whole thing running on Mir.
Yep. And it's all NWG shell. So we've been working closely with them, fixing bugs, getting all of it up to speed. And it looks really cool. There's some known issues, but it's mostly functional, and you can really drive it.
You could daily, but I had a machine before I wiped it for the magical thing we're doing tomorrow. That was running Miracle to kind of test it, and made sure that we got at least all the big things knocked out. So it's an experimental experience,
Right.
but it's a workable one, and you can definitely daily drive it if you want.
Yeah.
And I'm going to make him daily drive it from now on. So, it will definitely get better because he won't be able to stand it if it's not working.
Yeah, there's certain things that are rough around the edges. There's some, especially very complex multi-screen applications like Sea Lion, that sort of the nature of tiling, they get very weird if you do the wrong.
That's actually what brings us back to if you had that context about what those windows are, you would be able to do so much.
You could be smart.
Right now you have to do heuristics to just find. So this is a window that was created from Cilium. That's probably a toolbox of this kind, and actually try and get it into the right place. So that's exactly what we think is
Coming back when the tiling stuff started becoming all the rage in the X11 world. The reason I have not made it a secret that I hate tiling window managers, and the reason I hate tiling window managers is it comes back to this lack of context results in lots of unobvious user experience breaking effects.
Yep.
Because this is just not how the system is supposed to work.
Yeah.
If you have hints and information and context, you can make much smarter decisions about this kind of stuff. That's seeing the way that Cosmic was doing some of this. They have tagging internally for the things so that they can do the stack orders, they can do the grouping and all this other stuff. That's why they can seamlessly have the applications move between tiled and stacking and things not be broken.
Yeah.
That's the kind of experience I want to see for this, because it's not like I don't like tiling. I do tiling for some workflows, so I just don't do it for all of it. But like if I'm in a tiling workflow, I also don't want the application pop-ups to like be blown out and then like all the text be chopped off and stuff like that, because the hits and the ordering and the semantics are just all lost.
Yeah, like the GIMP splash screen on load will open its own tile, or the Ubuntu. When an application unexpectedly crashes on Ubuntu, you get that little pop up.
Easy abort.
Stones.
Yeah.
That's its own tile. So suddenly that's taken half.
And then abort in Fedora, abort will do the same thing, and it'll be like, oh yeah, now it's the what?
Yeah. You're like, you needed 10 pixels, sure. Right?
We need a common language to debug about this stuff between clients and compositors, and that's really what Mir was all about from the beginning, and we're trying to bring it back or into the new world where Wayland is the thing, right? So we'll get that.
I think there's an opportunity there to make this happen if we start, talking, like as Miracle, also talking to Cosmic, talking to some of the to Neri and some of the other ones that are out there, because we have a lot of the same common problems,
Right.
And everyone is coming up with their own private way of figuring it out. Having a common abstraction for a method of conveying this information, I think would be a net benefit for all of the bajillion tiling window managers that need to exist in the world.
And beyond.
And beyond.
And beyond.
Yeah.
That points brings us to another point, that we should be active on a lot of the protocols that are being recommended in that space, because we're going to have a lot of thoughts and feelings.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I've started getting engaged in Wayland protocols for KDE, but also increasingly for all the other stuff that we're working on with Cosmic and with Miracle. But and occasionally I tag some of you guys to come and look at it. I think this is something we're going to just start doing a little bit more as Mir starts being a thing people use, because there has historically not really been a reason to be more active, and that is going to change by hook or crook. So, and that's a good thing.
That is a good thing.
All right. I think we're roughly on time. So you give us a few minutes before the next thing here. Anything else that anyone wants to bring to the table?
We got some new protocols implementation in the works, right? We're working on integration.
Which are interested. Yeah.
Talk about.
Yeah, so you've been talking what kind of we're going for is we just in Mir itself, we want to be, again, zero opinions on that one on the shell side, because that's where it's at, right? So the API that we're going for is, here's some events and give me decorations
To stitch on. Yeah.
It'll be some buffers so I can draw.
Yes. Do the thing and give me the thing so I can do the thing.
Yes, exactly.
So, but it will be your responsibility to draw the thing and react to the thing. So
Yeah. I mean, for you, it's going to be easy because you're going to draw nothing. Just a little highlighty bordery thing.
Yeah, well, that's nothing. I'll draw more than that, because I also, when you stack windows, for example, when you saw it in console, you want to show the title bars and stuff. So I support stacking, but you just don't. No.
Does your kidding you get done and it doesn't work? Okay.
Well, I know it works, but it's just like, it's obviously hidden.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, for Miraway, it's going to be much more obvious, because theming it, because you're going to have to write a theming engine for Alan.
Oh, please. Actually, that would be a good first test.
Yeah, it would actually. It would be a good to make sure that it works. Actually, like implement simple, like being able to do the thing with the drawing and have it so that you can set in the config different colors and shapes for the buttons. Right, and then there you go, done.
That's a great candidate for a tutorial.
Yeah,
I would love a tutorial on that. Tarek, sorry.
the other thing, like you've been working on activation, so opening URLs will be better soon. What we have on our roadmap for the next 6 months that I think is mostly relevant here is accessibility from the community. From the compositor perspective. So everything that's visual and input related to accessibility, we'll be looking at, so that we can actually have those customers. Let's cover that. And
on people that need to be able to use a computer.
yeah, only customers.
So, and then I think the other big thing is we'll get our first ventures into into portals. Like we want Firefox and Chromium to be able to cast run from Mir compositor. So that's just on the agenda. All right. Yeah. Thank you all. Links in the description.
Like and subscribe. Yeah. Give us a follow.
Thank you all.